Verts and Doms combined to save Arne Slot's job. What it do, Scooby-Doos? Welcome to another Doghouse review. Three talking points for tonight's game, right? In the first half, we had a goal disallowed because of a handball. Now, for me, I think VAR is really influencing the outcome of games, right? Um, Sometimes in a positive light, sometimes in a negative light, right? And one of the reasons why I think this goal, Konaté's goal, should have stood was because when we look at the replays, we can see Van Dijk making clear contact with the ball, and that in turn makes contact with Ekitike's hand. Now, Ekitike has also jumped for the ball and is actually staring at the ground. So he doesn't know where the ball is going to travel to, and his hand is outstretched because he has jumped. Now, according to the VAR, his arm is in an unnatural position. So how are you supposed to jump with your hands at your side? I mean, really. The second talking point that I have for today's video is that penalty was very soft. And I do believe that Bastoni had no business holding on to Wirtz's shirt. Because if we look at the replays again, you see that Wirtz is not facing the goal. He has to still do a lot of work in order to get to the ball, turn, and possibly take a shot on. So again, here is a case where we can see that defenders make a lapse in judgment, right? Just it's and last night's game was all about the fine margins, right? Every single opportunity, every shot on goal, every attempt on goal was about the fine margins. And yes, Liverpool got the result last night, and it could have been a different conversation if there was a different player in the middle of the box that Bastoni had hold of. I don't know. The last point that I want to talk about is about a player who didn't even travel to Italy. For me, I feel that Mo came out and he said what he needed to say in a arena that is going to take a lot of what he said and basically create a narrative. Players who aren't performing shouldn't be given the opportunity to start game in, game out. And another example of this, and here's where I think that Arne Slot has also got a little bit of favoritism. Cody Gakpo hasn't really performed that well this season thus far. Yes, he's picked up a few goals, but more or less the same amount as Mo. And yet Cody Gakpo is the one that starts week in, week out. Another player that should have been dropped, Konaté, Virgil van Dijk. These are players that have not been performing consistently, but because there's no competition in those positions, they get to start week in and week out. Last night we saw Mo's position. We had Joe Gomez trying to fill that position of a wingback. It looked disjointed. It looked completely terrible. And still, Mo Salah is the one that is going to be scapegoated for this, right? Saying that, for me, it's quite simple, right? If you're performing, then you are in the team week in, week out. But if you aren't performing and you aren't helping the team gain the advantage, then I'm sorry, you have to just wait your time. I know they say play the players through their bad form, but most bad form has been consistent for at least 10 games. I mean, he scored that one goal against Villa, and we thought, okay, this is the spark of Mo making a return and his form is going to come back. But after that, nothing. Now let's get into the game, right? Our first half was exciting and then flat. Jones had a cracker shot on goal as well as Ekitike looking deadly. But again, that's all it was, right? Jones has two amazing shots. He forces Somers to make two fantastic saves, as well as Ekitike taking a shot that forces Somers to make a save, right? But that's it. Going forward, where's our strikers? And here's where I have a problem, right? And when we talk about the second half, you'll see how quickly things turn around. But it seems like our midfield is too far away from our strikers. And there's nobody supplying the ball to Isak for him to actually play. And Isak needs to either drop deeper in to pick up the ball and try and influence the game. And again, I come back to my point where I said previously, Isak is a striker that needs constant supply in order for him to get his 5, 10, 15, 20 goals a season. Liverpool are not a team that provides that. Liverpool strikers are strikers that need to work. They need to drop in. They need to build with the rest of the team, play the 1-2s around. I mean, we look at Fernando Torres and Gerrard, and that's exactly what we need right now. We need that kind of link-up play, that partnership. And Wirtz and Ekitike have that ability. I think Isak's touch is still faded and he needs to get sharper, he needs to get quicker, and he looks like a player that still doesn't believe in himself as yet. The first half had a moment of controversy where we see Konaté's goal getting disallowed, and I've spoken about that already. And I think again, VAR are really sometimes making a blunder with these things, because when we look at it, VAR, the first image that they show the referee is the ball making contact with with Ekitike's hand. But that's not exactly how the ball made contact with Ekitike's hand. It's actually off Van Dijk's head and then travels and then hits Ekitike's hand and then makes its way to Konaté. And I think that maybe what needs to happen with VAR is that they need to show it in real time first, as opposed to having just that still where you can see the clear and obvious error, because anything you show after that is going to have no bearing because you've seen the contact it's made with his hand. The second half started with absolutely no passion, no identity. Liverpool looked like they were running around and doing a lot of nothing. And at one stage, it looked like Liverpool were fine with just running around, looking busy, but not doing anything constructive, right? The one thing that I can say is that our defense looked a lot better. They were able to be more organized, more focused, more consistent in their challenges. They supported one another with the tackling, and they really gave recognition when hard and solid challenges were made, and they were able to come out of that half with a clean sheet. Then we have the introduction of Florian Wirtz and Connor Bradley. Now, wow, what an injection of tempo, what an injection of life, pace, and just creativity. We see Bradley Connor bombing down the wing and putting in crosses into the box. And dare I say it, the first half we had Joe Gomez in that same position and in that same role. he made 2 crosses into the box. Here we had Connor Bradley taking on defenders, going on the outside and trying to spark something. I mean, the lad even had a shot on target, forcing Somers to make an incredible point blank save. Okay, Wirtz again comes on and immediately starts to impact and influence the game. His link up play, his 1-2s, he creates space where there's no space. And take nothing away from Inter Milan. They played consistently. They were solid in their defending. They were organized. They kept their shape when they were out of position. And they really were able to play through the lines effectively. Something that I do want to make mention of is, again, the fine margins. Last night's game was sloppy for both teams, right? In the final thirds, those decisions that needed to be made to put a pass through, take a shot, those were the fine margins between scoring goals and actually conceding, right? And both teams were sloppy in this aspect. Inter Milan had so many opportunities to go 1-0 up and just didn't take it. And again, Liverpool, as much as they were not decisive in their final third, could not take advantage of Inter Milan's inability to score a goal, right? So again, both teams played very sloppy in the second half. And I have to say that of the two, Liverpool were slightly less sloppier. And who are our top dogs for last night's game? Well, I want to start with the top dogs. And I think in terms of top dogs, I'm going to have to say Somers from Inter Milan because whenever he was called in to make a save, he was there. He stood up to the challenge. He accepted his role and what he needed to do, and he did it effortlessly, right? Um, there were a few instances where he had to pull off massive saves, and he did it, and he came through absolutely stellar, right? Other top dogs for Inter Milan, Bastoni and Thuram. Now, Thuram just looked exciting. He just looked energetic and lively. Whenever the ball was played into his feet, he was trying to find Latoro, and as well as Luis Henrique, who was trying to influence the game as much as he could. But in terms of defensive work, Bastoni was solid at the back. And I can understand why Liverpool want to look to sign him in the January transfer window. Man was an absolute rock. Yes, he had one moment of misjudgment, poor decision making, but other than that, he was absolutely solid in the back. For Liverpool, I'm gonna have to give the top dog position to Ekitike, Jones, and Connor Bradley. I think for a player that just came on, Connor Bradley really influenced the game from the moment he set foot on the pitch. Jones, as well, in the first half, was the only player that was really being progressive in his play. He was really trying his best to influence the game. I mean, he took on shots that forced Somers to make those massive saves. And lastly, Ekitike. Ekitike is a live wire on the pitch and will definitely grow and be the striker that Liverpool are needing right now ahead of Isak. In my dog box, I'm gonna put Alexander Isak in there, and this is because he looks tired for a player that hasn't played that much football. Um, his first touch is extremely sloppy, and I just think that he needs to improve. And He needs to start believing in himself. He needs to start taking on more of a responsibility and saying that this is my team now. I am not here to just receive a paycheck. I need to be able to make good on what they've signed me for. And he needs to improve, and he needs to improve fast. Mo is going off to the AFCON, and this is his opportunity to shine and show us that he is the right man for the job. I honestly believe that if Mo doesn't start against Brighton, then we would have seen him play his last game for Liverpool. And as he goes off to the AFCON, I wish him all the best. And I know that no matter what the future holds for him, he is going to be an influential player no matter which team he plays for. And I wish him all the best. I would really love to see him play for Liverpool. I would really love to see him get 30 goals this season. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we see Mo Salah back in a Liverpool shirt. And that's it. Another Doghouse review. And this is Izo telling you to do good, be good. And if you can't be good at it. If you like the content, please don't forget to give us a big like and subscribe to the channel. Drop us some comments in the comment section. And I will see you after the Brighton game.